Hey, I'm a mechanical engineer, and this is my homemade castle. So if you guys remember, the past few weeks I've been building a few videos on medieval themes, such as how to build your own prop sword and how to build your prop shield. Well, that has all been in preparation for my church's VBS, which is obviously, as I'm sure you've guessed, a medieval theme. I was asked to build a few things for this VBS, the sword and shield of course as we previously mentioned, but the biggest and arguably the most difficult thing I was asked to build is a castle entrance. They wanted me to build a giant castle in the foyer of the church so that it's the first thing that you see as soon as you walk in the door. And as soon as I found out how large they wanted it to be, I was completely sold on the idea, because it's not every day that someone walks up to you and asks you to build a giant castle. The castle is primarily made up of three different parts. There's a wooden frame that you can see us assembling now, then there's the cardboard that will cover the frame, and then there's a brick cloth that goes on top of the cardboard to help it look more like a real castle. Since the castle was so large, we had to build 9 different frames and then screw them in place. Well, in place with each other, of course, not the walls. That would have been a no-go. And of course, we had to do a little bit of on-the-spot adjusting to make sure everything fit together seamlessly, but we really didn't have to do a whole lot of that since it all fit together quite nicely. And as you can see really well in this shot, each tower in its simplest form is comprised of 3 frames, a top, bottom, and middle, that I then connect together with several pine boards. This is a very strong and inexpensive way to build it, and it's actually very similar to how houses are framed. I needed my towers to be taller than 8 feet, which is the standard length that the poles come in, so what I did is I built 2 towers, one shorter than the other, and then I just stacked them on top of each other and screwed them in place. It's a lot easier to put it together this way, and you don't compromise on any strength, so there's really no drawback to doing it. Now as you can see here, we're beginning to construct the tower slash catwalk slash tunnel thing of the castle. And a little bit of advice for you guys out there, when constructing this part, we found it best to make like a bird and wing it. Ha! You thought I was going to give you advice. With all the frames now put together, we are starting to apply the cardboard. We are simply fastening the cardboard to the wood using staples, and the reason why we're putting up cardboard at all is to protect the paper that we're going to put up after that from tearing. Because of course, it'll be a lot more difficult for a little kid to punch through cardboard than it would be for that same kid to punch through paper. But even so, for any of you young kids out there, I just respectfully ask that you don't hurt my castle! Thank you. Putting up the cardboard was not necessarily a difficult thing to do, but it was very time consuming, and you had to go through afterwards with a knife to make sure that everything was cut perfectly to match the wood. I edited out most of the footage of us doing this because it's just simply a whole lot of nothing to watch. With all the cardboard now up, we're going to start applying the paper with the brick design on it. We tried our best to staple on the paper as tight as we can to avoid leaving any wrinkles, but I mean, we're flawed individuals, so we made a few mistakes here and there. In my mind, this was one of the more difficult parts of the castle. It was very hard to crawl up on ladders and staple them in place while making sure they're completely flush and pulled out as tightly as they could be. However, luckily for me, I was not alone. I had my friend Justin, who you've seen in the video there, and he helped me from the very beginning of building the castle all the way through to the end. So a humongous thank you to Justin. Thank you so kindly. I could not have done this without you. Thank you so much. Once everything was said and done, the castle ended up being 12 feet tall and over 10 feet across, so it really was quite the behemoth. And the castle isn't 100% complete just yet. There's still some decorating we need to do to it, but with that being said, the hardest part is definitely behind us, and I am very happy with how it turned out. But hey, thank you so much for you guys watching. I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, please feel free to hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And Lord willing, I'll see you next Friday.
Thanks for watching, and please feel free to subscribe.